Hey guys, this is Kev Bear Cub for TMI Tuesday for Tuesday, September 3rd, 2013. Sorry this is coming so late. I actually was on vacation this past weekend. It's been a pretty interesting week, so I'll get to that in a few. But right now I'm going to go ahead and answer some questions that you guys had for me and get this posted up so I get the TMI Tuesday video up on an actual Tuesday. SportsBear76 submitted a question, and he said, was wondering how you met your boyfriend. I live in the San Francisco Bay Area, and I have no luck with the bear community. I feel ya, definitely. I met Ryan, actually, originally I met Ryan on Growler. But we had talked on Growler for quite a while. We had a online relationship, so to speak, for a long time. And we finally ended up just meeting in person. He lives about an hour from me, and we ended up just, our schedules finally worked. Sorry for yawning. I actually just got up from a nap. We ended up, our schedules could never really work out. They would never really fit, and we could never meet each other for months and months and months. And then we finally just ended up meeting each other, and it clicked. Neither one of us were obviously looking for a boyfriend at the time, but it just kind of, it's something that developed. We just became friends to the point where we had considered each other our best friend. And it kind of grew into that, and I can say that I'm really happy. I fell in love with my best friend, and he's still my best friend. I can tell him everything and anything, and it's pretty interesting because it's great, because I feel like when you don't have any secrets, it's pretty freeing, and it's pretty relaxing to be able to just tell somebody everything, So, as far as the bear community, I know that that's kind of tough. I have to say that there's a lot of times that I get a little discouraged with the bear community or the chub community or whatever, because I feel like even within the community, they have standards that you have to look a certain way or act a certain way. And then you don't really fit in there either, and that's happened to me quite a bit. So all I can say is just stop looking. And I know it sounds like stereotypical advice, I guess, or I don't know. It seems weird to say stop looking, but I wasn't looking for Ryan, and when I stopped looking, I just kind of fell for him. So I would say concentrate on just going out and making friends. Look on Growler. Some of the things I would consider too is look at doing something like joining a gay volleyball league or joining a gay softball league, or I know here in Florida they have a gay scuba diving league. Something that's just different and out of the ordinary, that's not the typical bar, going to a bar or just meeting somebody on Bear 411 or something. I'm so sorry for the yawns. So yeah, that's what I would say. Fuzz Chub, I got your face pic. You're absolutely adorable. You're a cutie patootie. You did say, hope the dentist trip went well and you're feeling a bit better today. Hugs, handsome, and catch you online again soon, I hope. Yeah, I'll talk about the dentist because last week I was having some pain. I think in my video I put up that, I think after the TMI Tuesday video, I was saying how I was having some pain in my tooth. And it ended up being that it was a wisdom tooth that I had come in. I thought it was just a molar, but it had come in and it had an infection in it, so I actually had to get my wisdom tooth pulled down here last Wednesday. So they just shot me up with about 30 shots of Novocaine, and I didn't feel a thing once all the Novocaine kicked in. And Sorry. And had to get that pulled. So now I have that, hole in the side of my mouth and the side of my gums where that wisdom tooth was. It was the bottom left wisdom tooth. And it's been okay. Sunday was a pretty tough day. Ryan and I were on vacation, but it was a pretty tough day because it was really hurting bad. It's still quite sore. It still hurts quite a bit. But I have some ibuprofen, so I'll be okay. Tog Bear, Jan, you said, "Hi Kev Bear Cub, last week you had problems with your allergies and toothache on top. With only one of it, I wouldn't look as good as you did last week. Hope that everything got better. Mentioning going to the dentist brings me to my question because there was a time in my life when I had a fear of going to the dentist. What are you in fear of? And on the other hand, what makes you really good? Besides Ryan and singing, because those are too obvious to name them as an answer. Hugs, Jan." Well, that sucks since I can't name Ryan or singing because I do like those two things. What do I fear? I can clearly tell you that I fear flying. I hate to fly. I don't like to fly. It stresses me out. I get really nervous. I get anxious. I actually have to fly next week. On Thursday, September 12th, I have to fly to San Diego, which is going to be a long flight. I fly from Fort Myers to Houston and Houston to San Diego, and not really looking forward to it. Luckily, my mother is a registered hypnotherapist, and so she created a hypnosis CD for my fear of flying. I really, truly would rather just get on a train and take a train all the way out there. I really, really would rather do that so much. But I can't because I don't have the time, and I got to do this, and hopefully I can get through this. I'm kind of really starting to stress out about it, but I think it'll be okay. I think it's usually, I've flown a bunch, and I think it's just my mind makes it worse than it's actually going to be. So, yeah, I hate flying. And on that note, it's funny because I actually have that flight scheduled to go for work to go on to San Diego next week, and then in November, Ryan and I are scheduled to fly to Austin. So I'm not as worried about that one because since he'll be with me, I'll feel a lot more comfortable. He really grounds me a lot, so that'll be good. But that's definitely a fear. Something that makes me feel good. I think something that makes me feel really good is just being out in the sun. This past weekend when we went on vacation, there was a lot of opportunity to be in the sun, and I kind of like that. I have a job, because I work from home, I have a job that makes me pretty sedentary, and so it's nice for me to get out, and just get out in the sun and in the world and smell the air, and I think that's one reason I like being in Florida is because I can get to the ocean real easy, and the ocean and the waves and stuff are very calming to me. So, swimming, I love to just be in the water. So that's something that makes me feel good. And nice messages from guys like Tog Bear. Pandas 1969. Hey baby, how are you? Said, "Hey Kev, sorry I missed you last week, so I'll make it up by asking 2 questions. Question 1, have you ever been to a nude beach/resort? I'm assuming there are several there in Florida. Question 2, what country would you like to visit and why? Thanks, man." Thanks, Panda. I appreciate you asking that. Have I ever been to a nude beach or resort? Yes, I have been. I went to Hallover Beach in Miami, which is a nude beach. I did not get naked there. However, I do have an interesting story to tell you that I did go to Fort Lauderdale and was visiting one of my friends. This was after a breakup when I broke up with my ex. We were together for about 5 years, and I broke up with him and went over to Fort Lauderdale to hang out with one of my good friends. And he said, "Hey, we're going to go to a play," and I was like, "Okay, cool." And he's like, "Well, it's a naked play," and I was like, "Sweet, I'm all about seeing naked guys on stage." And he's like, "Well, yeah, the guys on stage are naked, but it's also being shown for a nudist group, and so the audience is going to be naked too." And I was like, oh my God, I'm not comfortable with the whole naked thing in public. And so I ended up deciding that I just wanted to bite the bullet and do something out of my comfort zone. And I did it. And I was a bit embarrassed, because I'm a big boy and the people that were there were not big boys. But I did it, and I was proud of myself for doing it. It's not something I would definitely do again, but at least I did it and got out of my comfort zone to do it. So I thought that was really cool. What country would you like to visit and why? I've been to a few countries already. Let me see. I've been to Canada and Mexico, of course. I've been to England, France, Luxembourg, Belgium. I think probably the place I would want to visit most, I think right now, is Spain. I really, really want to go to Spain. I would love to go to Madrid and Barcelona, and just, I would just love it. I would love going to Spain. Yeah, I think I'm going to pick Spain. I would really like to go to Australia too, but Australia is a 15-hour flight from Los Angeles, and so I'd have to fly like 5 hours from Florida to get over to LA or San Francisco, and then like 14 and a half, 15 hours to go to Australia. And since we've already established that I'm not a big fan of flying, I don't know that I'd really like to do that. So, yeah, I'll say Spain, because at least that's only like a 7 to 8 hour flight, nonstop from Miami. 818 Cuddle Bear. Hey, Bubba, how are you? I haven't heard from you, so hey. Is there a song, movie, or book, hell, why not all three, that made a huge impact on you during your teenage years? A song that made an impact on me. God, I'm going to be showing my gay card here. One of the songs that really, really, really made an impact on me when I was a kid, there's a song by Whitney Houston that she sang called One Moment in Time, that she actually sang for the Special Olympics. If you don't know it, definitely look it up. It's a really powerful song, and I think that applies to not only people that were in the Special Olympics, but I think it can apply to, people can apply it to their own lives. And it says things like, give me one moment in time when I'm more than I thought I could be, when all of my dreams are a heartbeat away and the answers are all up to me. Give me one moment in time when I'm racing with destiny, and in that one moment in time I will be free. So I think it might not be exactly word for word, but that's the gist of how it goes. And it was a really powerful song to me, and I really, really liked the message that song sent. So I would say that would be the song. As far as a book goes, there was a book that really got to me when I was a teenager in high school. I had to read a book called The Pig Man, which was a really interesting story about some kids who were playing prank phone calls on people, and they were having a contest with each other to see who could keep the person on the phone the longest. And they ended up talking to this guy that they call the Pig Man, who they get to know, and they actually befriend him in real life. They meet him in real life and befriend him. And it's about, he kind of teaches them about dealing with loss, because this guy's wife had died, and she collected pigs, and so he still collected pigs. And it was kind of, that's all I want to say about it. It was a really good book. It was a really interesting book, and I really, really liked it a lot. Yeah, I haven't read it in a while. I should reread it. It was a really good book. So yeah, it was called The Pig Man. As far as the movie goes, I don't know that it actually had a big impact on me, but it was a movie that I've seen more than any other movie, and I'm a little bit embarrassed to even admit it, but it was a movie called Mannequin, and it was with Kim Cattrall, who was, if you guys know her, she was the one that was in Sex and the City. She played Samantha on Sex and the City, kind of the slutty one, but it was when she was a young kid, a young girl, but it was her and Andrew McCarthy. So it was two big name stars, and what it was is he was this guy who created a mannequin while he was going through a bunch of jobs, and he ends up working in the store where this mannequin gets sold too, because he feels a connection to this mannequin. And when he's alone with her, she comes to life, and when anybody else is around, she's just a mannequin. So it's interesting. I really like the movie though, because there's this one character in it called Hollywood, who's Meshach Taylor. If you guys remember him from Designing Women, he was the black guy in Designing Women. Their friend Anthony, I think was his name, or something like that on Designing Women. But anyway, Meshach Taylor played this gay guy that befriended Jonathan, which was played by Andrew McCarthy, who, didn't judge him for the fact that this guy fell in love with a mannequin, and it was a really nice, I guess it did have a little bit of an impact because I wasn't out yet, and so it was kind of interesting to see a gay character on TV or in the movies. The only thing is that he plays a very stereotypical gay that's very, very flamboyant. But it was nice. It was still nice to see that, because when I was growing up, that wasn't really it. So if you get a chance, watch Mannequin. It was a really cute movie. Bill Yum, how are you? Good to see you again. I'm glad that you sent me messages. You said, "Yay, I'm so happy for you and Ryan. You guys are truly among the cutest couples I've seen on here. Can we hear the story of how you two met? I hope this makes it in time for TMI Tuesday, but since you're in Key West, that's probably the last thing on your mind." I told you the story earlier about how we met on Growler. How we met, though, was really interesting. Like, once we finally decided to meet, Ryan, I had tried a couple times to get him to meet me, and he never really had time. He was so busy. And it was really funny because he didn't even have a job at the time, and I always used to tease him. I would say, "Ryan, you're the busiest unemployed person that I know," which is true, trust me. I mean, and I get it. Now that I'm in his life, I realize just how busy this kid is. But he finally one day I kind of gave up a little bit, and I told him, I was like, "Listen, it's been months and months and months that we've been trying to meet up, to hang out, and I kind of give up a little bit. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm not going to ask you anymore. Whenever you're free, whenever you have time, you can message me." And he said, "You know what? How about this Friday?" He goes, "Whatever I have, I will push it off, and you and I will get together on Friday." And I said, "Okay." And so I went and picked him up, and I picked him up on Friday night, and we came back to my apartment, and we stopped off, and we got pizza, and got some drinks at 7-Eleven, just like some sodas and whatnot. And yeah, we just had pizza, and we just sat up and ate pizza, and we were up to like 4 o'clock in the morning or something like that. It was ridiculous. And it was crazy because I actually had to go to Fort Lauderdale. I had a date on Saturday with somebody, and so we ended up hanging out. Didn't go to bed till like 4 in the morning, maybe 5 even. It was really late. And we had to get up really early because I had to bring him back home in order for me to drive down to Fort Lauderdale for my date over the weekend with somebody. And it was really crazy because when I dropped him off, he knew I had to go on this date because it was something that was already planned. And, we were just hanging out as friends. It wasn't like we were a couple or anything. And I went down on this date, and I couldn't get him out of my head. I just couldn't focus on the date I was on. And I was really lucky because the guy I went on a date with, his name was Trevor, and he's a phenomenal guy and a great friend to me. A really, really good guy. My hair's sticking up. And he was very understanding, and I told him, I said, "Listen, I can't get him out of my head. This guy is just amazing." I couldn't even end up really hooking up with him, with Trevor, just because I couldn't focus on anything. Not to mention I was really, really freaking tired. But yeah, so that's it. I mean, we met, and we've, started spending every weekend together. And like I said before, we became best friends. And then, one day Ryan said to me, I was the one to say I love you first. I will say that. We were in the pool, and I told him I loved him, and he looked at me and he told me he loved me back. And that was a great moment. That was a really good moment. But then a couple weeks later, We were in my apartment and we were just making dinner together. He's a really good cook and I'm a really horrible cook, so he was helping me make dinner. I was helping him really make dinner. But we had a really good dinner and it felt really good, and he just grabbed my hands and he looked at me and he said, "Kevin, will you be my boyfriend?" And I was kind of taken back a little bit because I wasn't expecting that, because, you know, he really wasn't ready for a relationship. And I told him I wanted to make sure that he was sure. So he said, "Okay." I said, I want you to think about this." And he said, "Okay, I'll ask you again in a week." And that was the longest freaking week of my life, because I felt stupid, because I was like, why did I tell him to be sure? Why didn't I just say yes right then and there? But it was good, and he ended up asking me again, and we said yes, and it was a really awesome awesome experience. So I'm glad, and so that's how we met, and I can tell you that every day we're together, it gets better and better and better. So yeah, so those are the questions. Just to finish it up, I'll tell you what happened. You guys know about what's going on with the dentist, how I had the problem with my tooth, and so that's finally feeling better. It's starting to, at least. And then this past weekend, Ryan and I went to Key West, and we drove from Fort Myers to Key West, which takes, if there's no traffic, about 4.5 hours. It took us about 5 hours, I want to say, to get down there. I think it took us about 5 hours. We left at about 8:40. Let's see, and we got there. Well, we did stop though on the way down. But I want to say it took us about 5 hours to get there. And on the way home, we just came back last night, and it took a really long time to get home. I think it was like 5.5, maybe 6 hours to get home, because traffic was just horrible. Because going down to Key West, it's just like one lane. It's a one-lane road. It's US 1, and it's just one lane on either side. And if you get a slowpoke in front of you, then you're kind of stuck. And it was just so much traffic for the holiday weekend. It was just insane. It was just ridiculous. It was absolutely ridiculous. And I am not one that deals well with traffic, and I was not having a good time. But luckily, I mean, I had a good time with Ryan, but I wasn't having a good time dealing with the drive, because I also drive a stick shift, and anybody who drives a 5-speed knows that when you're in traffic, it really is a pain in the ass when it's traffic that goes, you know, like 4 miles an hour, and then it goes up to like 10 miles an hour, because then you have to change the second gear, and then you have to go back down to first. It's just a big pain in the ass. So Ryan luckily does really good at calming me down. He really grounds me. He really centers me. So we had a great time. You guys can see some pictures on my blog of our trip to Key West. Had a really phenomenal time. We got to hang out with two of our best friends. One is the guy that I grew up with, that I've known since I was 3 years old. So we went down to him and his partner's house in the Key West area, and we had just a great time, just a phenomenal time. And yeah, it just solidifies my relationship with Ryan every single time that we do something special together. And I love him, and I'm extremely excited to have him in my life. And yeah, so that's it. That's my whole week in a nutshell. And I guess that's it. So thank you guys. I'm sorry this one's long again. They've been getting longer because maybe it's because I'm getting more comfortable and I'm talking more. So I apologize. But hopefully you guys still don't mind watching it. So anyway, thank you very much. I don't know why it's so hard for me to go from 900 to 1,000 followers. It's going really, really slow, but, you know, Ryan and I do have something planned, and we're going to try to figure out how to make it work. But I do want to get a video recorded, and he's on board with it. So, yeah, we'll get something. We'll get something posted. But I need to get to 1,000 followers. So I'm really close. I'm like close. So I'm hoping that this week will do it. Maybe with the pictures I'm posting too. All right, guys, so I will talk to you later. Thank you guys for your messages. Bill Yum, 818 Cuddle Bear, Pandas 1969, Tog Bear, Fuzz Chub, and Sports Bear 76. Thank you so much for all your messages and your questions, and I hope that you guys keep asking. And for those of you who didn't ask a question, please feel free so I can include your questions on my next TMI Tuesday video. I'll talk to you later, guys. Have a good one. Bye.